Patty cake, the baker's man, tag your it, kick the can, and I think I hear my mama calling, you gotta go. Man, I loved her so. High school days, me and Becky learning what it really means. She laughed and then she cried, and somewhere in my heart I'm sure I heard ring around the rosy, pocket full of dreams and roses. Patty cake, a baker's man, tag your it, kick the can.
WRBI Batesville, Greensburg, Versailles, Brookville now presents Southeastern Indiana's longest running and most listened to sports show. It's Coach's Corner, broadcasting live from the Coach Raver Corner at Ison's Family Pizza. Listen on 103.9 FM or the WRBI app. And now you can watch the show happen live too at WRBI-TV.com or on our Facebook page. Here is the host of Coach's Corner, Coach Rob LaFerry.
And good evening, everyone. Welcome to Coach's Corner here on Monday, January 12th, 2026. And if you're tuning in live on WRBI-TV, Rob LaFerry has not aged 20 years in the past week. I am Steve Yeasting sitting in for Coach Rob LaFerry tonight. Rob coaching his 8th grade boys tonight. So good luck to Rob and the Bulldogs tonight, and I'll be here for the next hour with you at Coach's Corner. Very pleased to be joined by my first guest tonight, the head coach of the Batesville Bulldogs, coming off a victorious Ripley County tournament. It's Coach Aaron Garrett. Coach, welcome.
Thank you, Steve. It's good to see you, and I would say if you were Coach LaFerry, you've gotten a lot wiser in just a week.
As we mentioned, you're coming off the Ripley County tournament to defeat South Ripley 66-55 in that final game on Saturday night. You had just played South Ripley a couple weeks prior to that. So big turnaround. And got the double victory over the Raiders.
Yeah, this time of year is interesting because we go in a tournament in a rush with Milan East Central, then South Ripley on the 23rd. Then the boys got a 5-day break, which that's been rare the last couple of years where the schedule's fallen. And then we had a mini camp, if you will, because then we had 5 days to get ready for our Batesville tournament. And one of those days was a 11.5-hour day with practice, team Christmas party, Pacer game, which was a lot of fun. But I always want to thank my assistant coaches and their families for allowing me to do that because I can't drive 3 minibuses to Indianapolis by myself.
Right.
But it's always a good time just to get off the floor with them and have interactions and fun that way. Then we had our Batesville tournament, which we had the Austin team, which has a nationally ranked freshman. Some services have him as the #1 ranked freshman in the country. So it's cool to see that kind of talent. He put it on display in terms of that first game. Then we had a tough back and forth with a long, lengthy, talented Greenfield Central team. And there's 2 twins on there, the Mullins boys, who their brother is the one who was Mr. Basketball last year. It's playing at UConn. Will be an NBA. He'll be a lottery pick in this next NBA draft. And we let one get away from us. We lost by 1. But there's W's and L's, and they don't always stand for wins and losses, right? Wisdom and lessons. And I always tell the guys we're either going to win or we're going to learn. You only lose if you don't learn from what's happened as you face a defeat. And they definitely did that. And we get to the Jacksonville game Wednesday, and it's interesting, and as a coach, it's never as good or as bad on film as you thought it was live. But I watched that game back, and I was even talking to Coach Bowman on my staff, who was a head coach at Jacksonville. Like, when I went back, the second and third quarter was really good. First quarter, a little choppy. Second and third quarter, really good, better than I remembered. And fourth quarter, we just didn't hit some shots that we typically hit. And we won by 17. We hit 2 threes, right? So we're finding in the Greenfield game, we didn't shoot as well from three as our legs were tired. But we found a different way to get a win against Jacksonville. And then we have South Ripley. As you said, it was an 89-81 game before Christmas. And trust me, we were trying to play defense. Both teams were, right? But there's just there's a high level of offensive talent. And Drew Voles brought it in a hurry at the beginning of our game. And I call it race car. We try to race car the ball down the floor. And South Ripley brought it at us as fast as we've had any team do it so far. And Drew Voles was a catalyst to that. I think Drew, he's a junior. I think he's one of the top players in the entire area.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, especially for his size, because he's all three levels. He's crafty. He uses angles. He can get leverage. So he can bully you inside at 5'10" if he's lucky. He can pass and create and hit pull-ups. But then in the 5 games coming into the championship of Ripley County, he was over 50% from three. And he hit his threes on Saturday night to lead all scorers with 24. So they're up 1 at half. We make some adjustments. We had not played well, and the guys felt pretty confident. The pace was going where we needed to. We'd gotten some of them in foul trouble, but we were still down 1. Started third quarter, importantly, very well. We got up 10, but then here they come. They pull it back to within 4, within 1. Ethan Snyder hit a big shot, and those types of things. And we get it stretched out. So it was an 11-point final margin, but anybody in attendance knows, and especially the coaches and players know it was a classic Ripley County battle, coming off the induction ceremony, which just fills the gym. It's awesome. So the first game was a good game. The championship game was back and forth. We held them to 55 points, which is much better, right, than the 81 we gave up. And just a shout out to my guys that were recognized, because I love this part of it too. The all tournament team for us was James Hughes, Cameron Holcomb, Braden Maple, very well deserved, and then joining them as MVP of the Ripley County tournament was Trenton Lewis. And well-deserved by all of them. And Trenton had a tough game, and I'll say tough game, that Greenfield Central game, right? Because he's the one at the free throw line near the end of the game with 2 free throws that would have put us up 3. He misses both. So everybody's looking at him. Gosh, he lost the game. Not when I have 40 clips from that game, from all throughout the game, of equally important possessions that would have had an impact on a 1-point game, right? People often forget. It's not those plays at the very end. It's all the plays leading up for that. The reason I bring up that is Trenton had to hit some tough free throws late in the game. He led us with 23 points, and more so, just played an overall nice game, didn't force anything, doing things off 2 feet, just a charismatic player to help match what Voles was doing, and he has running mates go with him. Braden Maple scored well. Cameron Holcomb scored well. James Hughes actually was limited to 6, had some shots not go in, but still found a way to impact the basketball game. What helps me sleep a little bit better at night, we've now had games where each one of those 4 would have a tough outing, if you will. Trent had 3 in a game. Braden Maple had 4 in a game. Cameron, I think, went scoreless or had 2 or 4 points in a game. Cameron didn't score. If he scored much, he didn't score hardly at all against Jacksonville, for example. And now James, who's our leading scorer in the season, we were able to persevere against a quality opponent in a championship atmosphere and get a win. So that bodes well for all of them. And I think they continue to learn that there's a lot of ways to impact a basketball game by just scoring, and that's what I'm blessed with, are guys that are eager to do other things, and that's what's going to help us with some ultimate goals as we go down the road in the tournament, in the season heading to the tournament. Interesting
you bring that up. I've had a chance to see your team on a couple different occasions this year. So much fun to watch. They share the ball so well. I've talked in pregame interviews. You have 25 field goals on 20 assists in a game. Over Christmas break, I had a chance to watch the greatest sports movie of all time, Hoosiers. And it kind of reminded me of the way your team plays. And when, Coach Dale talks about when they get Jimmy Chitwood back, and not that, you have Jimmy Chitwood, but they're firing on all 5 cylinders. And that's what your team reminds me of. As you said, maybe James Hughes doesn't have a good game that night, but he picked it up other ways. I know the one game Trenton Lewis only had 3 points, but he had 7 assists. Yeah. So important is in watching your team that they share the ball so well and they do all those little things.
And, Steve, we're getting to that 6th, 7th, and 8th cylinder, too. Braden Hughes is a huge key for us off the bench and just battles. He gave us a spark in the South Ripley game. One play early in the first half, he literally snatched the rebound from over a kid, didn't go over the back, but snatches it, was able to bounce, go right back up, not bring the ball down, get it stripped, and then we're right into our press, right? So then we're able to exert some of our influence. And then you've got the 2 sophomore guards, Levi Hunt, Winston Garrett. Their time continues to be a little bit sporadic based on in the Greenfield Central game. I made a mistake. I should have went deeper in my bench because it was the second game in the same day. And then we were behind. I thought we needed more offensive firepower on the floor. It almost worked out for us, but did it not, because we had guys that were absolutely exhausted. And that's some of my being as far as should have said a little bit more. So it's cool to see a Levi and Winston getting more comfortable. They helped lead our JV game, led our JV team to a win Saturday morning in the JV Ripley County tournament. And then Winston, for example, hits a important 3 in the second quarter in the first half, plays some important defensive moments against Vols to give Schneid a break. Levi didn't get in the championship game Saturday night, but as I told him after the game, his time's coming. It's definitely coming for the next 2 seasons, but even this season, he'll give us important minutes because there'll be times where a lot of different things happen, especially when we get on this stretch with double weekends every weekend. And he was, yep, all about it. Because like you said, he sees how the older guys play out there and that ball's moving. There's times I just stay on the sideline, I'm like, man, this is just fun. Because it's moving it's moving at such a high level. Mape had one later in the game Saturday where we were spacing him, and Mape slashes in. He gets a pass, and a lot of times that thing will just go to Mape, and he right immediately just goes out the corner because the defense has turned their head. But that defender stayed between Mape and I think it was Winston. So Mape gets it, 2 hands, 2 feet. He makes a dribble. He's looking at so he's coming back towards him on the floor. He's looking at the top of the key to James, obviously an offensive threat. And while still looking at James, somehow he saw and makes a great pass to Cameron Holcomb, who gets a wide open horse shot. How are you supposed to defend that, right? And it's deflating as South Ripley is trying to make a comeback. So it takes everybody. And then don't forget those JV guys, because they're the ones who have to give us a look in practice, and they're getting much better at that, which helps me not have to go varsity against varsity as much. So things are going pretty well.
And speaking of Saturday night, a personal milestone for you on Saturday night as you passed Melvin Seifert. Yeah,
I've been getting some congratulations on that and appreciate those. And it doesn't even seem real, right? It's definitely surreal that this is year 18. And Coach Seifert is a mentor. He's a friend. He's a father figure at times. I've gotten so much advice from that dude over the years, and far from just basketball, right? And God love Melvin. He doesn't even bring up his basketball resume when you talk to him. But I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. And probably the only thing that keeps him out is he didn't stay in this game long enough where he went to the administration route, right?
Right.
But what he did over 15 years, from the end of one-class basketball to the era of multi-class basketball, I still think at some point he'll be in the Hall of Fame. He belongs there. So to have my name even up there with him, and then it's a testimony to the players. Okay, so it's all about the players. We've had some really good players at Batesville, much like this year's group. We've always been blessed with guys that do things the right way. They compete hard. They represent their families and their community well. It's their wins. And then the assistant coaches. And I've been blessed with not only good assistant coaches over the years, but now the longevity. I mean, I would say you probably can't find too many staffs. I know you can't in Southeast Indiana, as far as I've had Coach Gherkin and Coach Gellert for over 10 years now. Lose an important piece with Coach Allen, who went on to Plainfield to be a superintendent. But then we plug in with another important piece with Coach Bowman, a Batesville boy. His son's playing for us. He's got the experience of being a head coach and a successful head coach at Jacksonville. Batesville's basketball is blessed to plug him in, right? So it takes all those things working together. And most importantly, my wife, her name should probably be on this record, is any coach can tell you, if your spouse isn't all in and supportive, you're probably not going to be a very good basketball coach, then you're probably equally not going to be a very good husband and father, because of Terry Geesting sent me a message, and he's right. It is another full-time job to do it the right way and to take care of the guys the way it needs to be done. Can't do it without the assistant coaches, but then the wife and kids are the ones at home. Also, the wife and kids of my assistant coaches. They're left sometimes on the sideline, if you will, when we are out scouting. The 11.5-hour day to take the kids to the Pacers games, right? It's fun now that my kids, the assistant coaches' kids, are either involved in the program, old enough to do some of those things with us.
Right.
But just very, very thankful, very humbled. Like I said, I'll reflect on that a lot later, probably even after I'm done coaching, because right now it doesn't seem real, because where did 18 years go, first of all? And then to be part of all these different stories from the guys and hearing from former players. And I had Coach Sievert talk to this because Coach Sievert's back this year as our interim back this semester as our interim principal. And so I'm going to utilize him like crazy. I had him talk to the guys Friday night just about the importance of Batesville basketball, what it means to people, how the community loves it, what playing for a championship means, right? And he's right. There's pictures on the wall, they're championship pictures because you have to do something really, really hard to win a championship, but it binds you together. But even as you talk to guys that are on all the different teams, championship teams, other successful teams, guess how many specific game scores or game moments they talk about? Not many. It's the experiences, it's the bus rides, it's the locker rooms, it's those really, really tough wins. And both the Batesville tournament final and then the Ripley County on Saturday, those were March-like atmospheres, possession by possession. So just priceless, but it's what this means to all the communities, right? And kudos to the South Ripley community. They filled half of our gym Saturday night. So it's just awesome. So I appreciate that, Steve, and humbled to be, as I told the kids afterwards when they had a little presentation, it's about the guys. And there'll be other players playing Batesville basketball after us. There'll be other coaches. There'll be another coach coaching Batesville basketball. We're the steward for now. We got to help keep the legacy intact and pass it on in very good fashion. And this team, this coaching staff is doing just that.
Finally, Coach, as we wrap up tonight, you're 1-0 in the conference. You still have a big portion of your conference season coming up. I'm sure when you sit down at the beginning of the season, you have goals. Maybe one's the Ripley County tournament, one's the Batesville tournament. I'm sure a conference tournament factors in there as well. What's it going to take down the stretch for your Bulldogs to come home with that conference title?
Yep, one game at a time. Obviously, tonight we already started preparation for Greensburg, and I could care less what records are because we've been on the other side of that before, where our record wasn't very pristine coming in, and we gave Greensburg all the battle we could, and sometimes we were able to steal some. The Shelbyville game I just watched over the weekend, Shelbyville's really, really good. Really good 3A team now, really good team. And they punched Greensburg in the face. They're up 14-2. Coach Rigney calls timeout. By halftime, Greensburg's up 1. Shelbyville comes out, extends the lead again, but they could never get away from Greensburg. So it'll be a classic Greensburg-Batesville matchup on Thursday. And like you said, it's methodical game by game in terms of that conference because invariably it probably won't be decided till the very last weekend of the season. And then we get to see each other again in the sectional.
Yeah.
And get to go through that all again for a third time for Greensburg and us. So looking forward to it because nothing's more fun than a Batesville-South Ripley game in Ripley County, now a Greensburg-Batesville game. That's why the guys work so hard. That's why the coaches work so hard, just to be able to be in those moments and try to do our best.
All right. Coach Garrett, thank you very much for your
Always
time.
good
Pleasure to see you tonight.
Thank you.
And good luck on Thursday night against Greensburg. We'll have the game here on Country 103.9 WRBI.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, Coach. We're going to step out for a quick break. When we come back, we'll be joined by the head coach of the South Decatur Lady Cougars, Kristen Hicks. More after this on Coach's Corner.
Simmer and sear with confidence using a Maytag freestanding electric range with 5 elements, including a 9-inch and 6-inch dual choice element, variable broil, and warming center. You can knock out mealtime in no time. The steam clean cycle and fingerprint resistant stainless steel finish makes it easy to keep clean inside and out. Shop Garings today. Garings in Maytag, 316 North Main, Batesville.
When life takes unexpected turns, Moore Law is there to help. Moore Law can help with estate planning, elder law, nursing home planning, criminal defense, family law issues, and civil litigation. They stand behind their clients every step of the way. From protecting loved ones and securing your future to defending your rights, Moore Law's attorneys bring a wealth of knowledge and dedication to every case. Call 812-932-1227. Moore Law, attorneys you can trust.
Back to more Coach's Corner with Rob LaFerry, delivered by Ison's Family Pizza on 103.9 FM. Streaming audio on the WRBI app and with video on our Facebook page and at WRBI-TV.com.
And welcome back to Ison's Family Pizza for Coach's Corner here tonight on Monday, January 12th. I am Steve Geesting sitting in for Rob LaFerry tonight. And I'll be here with you next Monday night as well as Rob's coaching the 8th grade Bulldogs this week and next week as they wrap up the season. We're very pleased to be joined now for our next segment by the head coach of the South Decatur Lady Cougars, Kristen Hicks. Coach, good evening and welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Your team coming in. Let's talk first of all, We had your game against Oldenburg here on Country 103.9. Taylor Summers missed that game due to an injury. How's she doing coming back?
She's doing well. She's slowly kind of worked herself up with some minutes now. We finally got her back full time, and now it's just a matter of kind of getting her legs underneath of her and kind of, kind of the team getting back to her being out on the court as well. It's an adjustment, her being out for, really a full month. We played a lot of basketball while she was out, so it's kind of just getting that adjusting back to her being out there. But, slowly she's starting to get the swing of things, and you're seeing her get back to her form.
Last year, your team, a regional championship team. How's it been coming back? Has the girls responded to being that? Have they felt like they had a target on their back with the teams?
I think it's such the makeup is just so different this year that, I really haven't felt like a pressure or anything like that. I think the main thing for me coming in was maintaining a standard. Our expectations still remaining high, even though, we've got a lot of new girls coming up, a lot of, freshmen that are playing a lot of minutes. So I think it's just, maintaining that standard that we have of success and, not being content with where we are and really, you forget about next season or last season, it's moving on. We've got to win this year. We've got to, look at the next game and just be prepared for that.
You mentioned Summers missing almost a month. Certainly looking at your stats, Reagan Benj has certainly stepped up for the rest of the season, almost averaging a double-double as a sophomore.
Yeah, so impressed with her. And we knew that it was going to be tough. We were going to have some challenging moments. And as a coach, when you're faced with, a lot of young players and your leader goes out, certainly, you're kind of just looking at them and seeing who is going to step up. Who's going to be the vocal leader, who's going to lead by example. And Reagan did a lot of those things. She really, kind of just played a bigger role for us offensively, but certainly defensively, she was tasked with great, guarding their best post player as well. So I'm really pleased with how she stepped up, but also it took a lot of girls, kind of pushing themselves out of their comfort zone, asking more of them than what I ever have before. And a lot of freshmen got a lot of minutes that, they probably weren't going to see, if she was healthy. So I think going through that incredibly, just challenging moments as a team, I think we are better because of it. As you never want to see anybody go down. Taylor, she's just an amazing player, an amazing person. You don't want to see that out of anybody, but I think we are better on the other end of this now, looking back and finally getting through it. But I'm pleased with where we are right now.
Your team coming off a tough loss to your rival North Decatur. Always tough when those two teams get together. Yeah,
it's always a battle. You kind of know going in, it's going to be a dogfight to the end. It's going to be tough. It's going to be physical, and you're going to have to push through everything and understand that you can't control everything. You can't control, and you have to have a next play mentality. And it's one of those games that you hate slip through, but also having an understanding that we still have, conference games that we need to play. We still have our big goals towards the end of the season here. So it's learning from that and just one step moving forward. We've got bigger things ahead.
You mentioned conference. You're currently second in the Mid-Hoosier Conference with a 3-1 record. You mentioned a couple of conference games coming up. You got Waldron and Edinburgh. Looking at your last 5 games coming down the stretch, what are you hoping to see from your team to get them tournament tough? Yeah,
here at the end, as a coach, you're really just hoping that things kind of start coming together. You want to play your best basketball here late January, here into February. So for me, things need to start coming together for us. We've had a couple tough games and a really tough stretch of games. So for me, I need us to kind of start putting some things together, certainly for us, taking care of the basketball, valuing the basketball. And, I think defensively we've been really consistent, and that's kept us in a lot of games that maybe we shouldn't have been in. But, things have got to start clicking. And, I'm like I said, I'm pleased with where we are, but we've got to make some big gains here. And it's really just they're putting in the effort every single day in practice, and they're really just focused on one day at a time.
You mentioned one day at a time. As a coach, that's what you have to be. As an outsider, I can kind of look ahead of things. Looking down that Waldron sectional, you just recently played Tri last week. Tri coming in 10-0 on the season, 6-0 within the conference. So certainly they got to be looking at those as favorites of the conference. What did you take away from that game for your team in case you meet up again?
Yeah, so certainly, we'll see, there's a possibility that we'll see try again. And, I was happy with how we played. That's always, tough to go on the road there. And I felt like we looked pretty good. But like I said, taking care of the basketball is probably the biggest thing, our biggest weakness right now. And every single day it's a focus and practice. And, there's several great teams. I don't think that certainly they might be a favorite, but, you can't look past anybody. And, as a coach, you really got to take one game at a time and prepare as such, the film and just having your team ready for every single game.
We mentioned the Summers injury. How's everybody else's health on the squad this year? Everybody good?
Yeah, everybody's in good shape right now. Of course, it's just a long season. It's such a grind for everybody. But, health-wise, I feel we're in pretty good shape right now. Physically, you get to the point in the season where everybody's a little bit banged up, but that's just across the board, and, kind of just mentally tough pushing through the things that you can.
Coach, you got Knightstown coming up tomorrow night. What's it going to?
Yeah, they actually look really good this year. They've got a couple good girls. So I think for us, we do the prep. We watch the film. We know the scouting report. But I often say is we know all that stuff about them, but right now there's a lot of stuff about us too that we've got to take care of and we've got to improve upon. So they've got a good team there, but I think for us it's really focused on what we have to do and taking steps to improve those things.
Coaches, thanks for joining us tonight here on Coach's Corner.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, we're going to step out for a quick break. When we come back, we'll have Coach Kevin Moore from the East Central Lady Trojans. More Coach's Corner coming up right after this on Country 103.9 WRBI and WRBI-TV.
When it comes to you and your family's health, finding a primary care provider you can trust makes all the difference. At Margaret Mary Health, our providers aren't just here for you when you're sick. They're dedicated to being your long-term partners in health. If you're looking for a medical provider to help keep your family well, give us a call or visit us online. Our primary care providers are accepting new patients in Batesville, Brookville, Osgood, and Milan. Margaret Mary Health. Generations of care.
Ison's Family Pizza is looking to add a few new faces to our team. Cecil here. The positions open include shift manager, full and part-time driver, and back of the house. Applications are available at the front counter. Resumes can be sent to isonsfamilypizza@yahoo.com. We are trying to fill shift manager, part-time driver, and back of the house. Apply to work at Batesville's Best Pizza today. Ison's Family Pizza, 117 East George Street, downtown Batesville.
Coach's Corner with Rob LaFerry continues. Watch us live on WRBI-TV.com or on our Facebook page. And hear us live on the WRBI app and 103.9 FM. WRBI.
Welcome back to Coach's Corner here from Ison's Family Pizza. Steve Easting filling in tonight for Rob LaFerry. Very pleased to be joined now. He is the head coach of the East Central Trojans, 16-2 on the season. Coach Kevin Moore. Coach, good evening and welcome to the show.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it.
Your team coming in, as I mentioned, 16-2 on the season. Played in that Scottsburg tournament over Christmas break. Talk about the team and how they did in that tournament. I know they came in third, I believe.
We did. We won against Seymour earlier in the first day, and then the way the brackets were kind of drawn up, we ended up playing Columbus North for the second time, which we kind of projected would happen.
Right.
We'd beat them earlier in the year, and there's a very good chance we'll see them again in February. So trying to play a team and beat them twice, if not three times. But we came out really flat in that game, unfortunately, and we were in a position where we were probably battling a lot of the flu, unfortunately, not to make excuses for our kids and for our program, but we probably weren't at full health, unfortunately, based on the situation. And I give credit to Columbus North. They shot it really well. They hit 10 threes in that game and took us out of a lot of what we want to do offensively. So we bounced back, the next day and ended up, like you said, taking third by beating Batesville, having to drive an hour and 30 minutes to play Batesville. That was enjoyable.
Your team coming off a big win on Saturday. Always a tough place to play, going up and getting a win at Rushville.
Yeah, and we knew going in it was going to be a Super Bowl game. They were trying to be the spoiler, if you will. I mean, by winning it, we at least got a share of the conference title, being 6-0 in the conference. So they came out and really hit us with a punch early, and we were down 9 at half, which, you see the final score, it's a little bit surprising, but I give Coach Marlowe Coach Winkler and her staff and kids a lot of credit. They hit a lot of shots. They were 10 of 13 from the field in the first half. Luckily, we turned them over at a high rate and allowed us to kind of get back into the game. But we watched the film today, and it was a reality check for a lot of our kids where it happened to us early in the year at a couple other games where on paper you're favored to win by 20 plus, 30 plus, and you come out and kind of start the game flat. And Rushville kind of took advantage of that opportunity and put a scare in us, that's for sure.
Your team, looking at your stats and stuff, I haven't had a chance to see you guys yet this year, but a young squad, you're led by a sophomore, Natalie Stanger, with 17 points a game, Adriana Dugan averaging almost 12 and a half, and Lily Maple at 11. Is that something when they're so young and so successful, it's like, oh, we're just going to cruise through these teams and, like you said, a reality check?
Well, it's hard not to get maybe a little complacent when you're 16-2, and that's the coach's job and the coaching staff's job to, as Kurt Signetti said, kind of keep them in check, humble them, if you will. But, the youth certainly can maybe play a factor in that. But we have a lot of juniors, kids that are 2- and 3-year varsity players, and it's kind of their responsibility to not allow that to happen inside the locker room. And that was kind of what we talked about today as well, taking on some leadership roles on the court. Our best teams, and we've had a lot of good ones over the years, but the best ones we've had have been player-led. You don't always need Coach Moore to call a timeout to get things, figured out. And we had a good talk, and I think we'll play our best basketball here as we approach February.
Looking down the stretch, I don't want to say a break from local competition, but you're going to Dixie Heights, looking in the I can't think of their mascot right now. I should.
The Cardinals.
Thank you. And then you go and add New Palestine and at Madison before you close up the regular season at Connersville, trying to clinch that EIAC.
Yeah, and Mount Vernon Fortville in there as well. So a lot of our non-conference games we've tried to put near the end of our season, some bigger competition in terms of the schools to prepare for that 4A run that we try to make every year. But getting to your question about Connersville, they only have one loss as well inside the conference. So if it works out the way it should, and on paper that'll be a championship game for them as well. I know Greensburg will be rooting for them as well. So if Connersville were to beat us, it would be a 3-way tie. So we want to be very selfish about that, and we want to keep that EIC title to ourselves.
You mentioned the Columbus East sectional. Looks like it's certainly a gauntlet. You got Columbus North, which you said you met them twice already. They're 14-4. You're 16-2. You got Franklin at 12-6, and even Columbus East and Whiteland. That's going to be a tough way to go through that.
It is, and it's as a 5-school sectional, the draw is very important. If you're blessed to get a bye, you only have to win 2 games, and then let's say Franklin and Columbus North are on the other side of that. It makes it a little easier. But, that's kind of the way we approach our schedule. We try to make our non-conference opponents difficult tasks for our kids so that we are ready for February. And it's certainly paid off with, we've won 4 of the last 6. And, on paper, we're right there again this year.
I mentioned the youngsters and your sophomores and freshmen averaging double figures, and you mentioned your senior leaders. Talk a little bit more about what those senior leaders have meant to your program as they drive up there for your careers.
Yeah, well, we're actually really junior led, to be honest with you. We have a couple seniors, one of which is still active. We started the year 3. One's really sick, unfortunately, and is unable to play, and another one has been dealing with a concussion issue. But Maria Mayer is our one senior that we'll honor tomorrow night at senior night, and she's a multi-sport kid. Had a fantastic soccer career, and I think really enjoys playing basketball, being around our program, and we've really appreciated the effort and how coachable she's been. But our juniors, it kind of starts with Tegan Lygaber. While her numbers, if you look at the point column, it's not going to be something that blows you away, but her voice, her leadership on the floor defensively, what she provides us, she's a big anchor for us. And then Kaylee Meadows is a junior. Played exceptionally well on Saturday. A big reason why we came back and won that game. And then Audrina Dugan is the other junior that has been a kind of a 3-year starter for us. And Audrina has a love of the game. She's a gym rat, and she deserves a lot of the success that she's getting. And then we have some other juniors, Avery Cable, was battled back from an ACL. We lost her last year in January to an ACL, and she's back now and kind of getting her feet underneath her, and hopefully we'll get that before February rolls around. But then, as you said, Natalie Stinger, a sophomore, we kind of go. She goes, we go as she goes, and she's a unbelievable athlete that has a motor like no kid we've played or that I've coached in the 17 years I have. And then Lily Maple, the freshman, as you alluded to, she's one of the top kids in the state in her class, and 6'1", can shoot it, can bounce it. One of the best defenders we've got, maybe ever. Up there in the state leaders for blocks and steals as a freshman. It's pretty impressive.
You mentioned the sectional coming up, and a 5-team sectional. That draw comes out, I believe, the 25th of this month, and that's starting that first week. When it was up last year, was maybe last year kind of a surprise for you that you didn't necessarily expect to get there? I mean, you always want to win the sectional, but maybe a little bit earlier than what you thought. And has that put a target on your back for this season?
Yeah, I think so. It certainly was a year early, I thought, but we really gelled really well at the end of the year last year and took great care of the basketball. And when you can do that and rebound it and play great defense like we always pride ourselves on doing, you give yourselves a chance to win. And those young kids did that last year. But, yeah, we certainly have probably had a target on our back, and that's new for this young group. But that's why you play the game. You want to be a team that people circle your name on their schedule. And, we take pride in that, and we've taken a lot of pride in that over the years. So, I think the kids are up for the challenge of going for a repeat, yeah.
And kind of on top of your basketball, you're also the athletic director at East Central. Certainly you got to have some good help around you to be able to do double duty like this.
I'd like a little bit more, but the help that I do have is fantastic. It starts with my wife at home, because without her doing what she does with our kids, because we have 3 kids, I wouldn't be able to do the job of coaching and being an AD. But I have some good people within our athletic department, other head coaches, some people within our guidance counselor office, Brad Wynn, Jake Miners, kids, people like that do stay and help supervise some events that allow me to go home and see my house every once in a while.
You have a house.
Yeah. But I enjoy the job. I love, we've got 22 sports, 40-something teams, and all the coaches and athletes. But it's fun. I'm a competitor at nature, and I love being a part of all those programs in a sense.
Coach Moore, thanks for joining us tonight, and good luck the rest of the way.
I appreciate it, Steve.
All right, more Coach's Corner is just ahead. Right after this, you're listening to Country 103.9 WRBI and watching on the WRBI-TV app.
In case you hadn't heard, Scripture Auto in Greensburg is now a part of Whitewater Motors.
If you have an issue down the road, you can call Jamie Scripture or Dave Scripture. Try that at some of the bigger places. It's just customer service. We've been taking care of people for a decade. That's our biggest thing. We treat them like family, always have. Rest assured, Dave Scripture and myself, Jamie Scripture, are still here running the business. So that's the big thing.
Visit them online at whitewatergreensburg.com.
Hey football fans, while Ivy Tech Community College doesn't have a football team, what it does have is your play to a great future. Earn a short-term certificate to quickly get into a high-wage, high-demand career. Earn your associate degree in a wide variety of programs for a more affordable transfer to a bachelor's degree. Classes are offered in person and online at the Lawrenceburg and Batesville locations. For more information, email r11express@ivytech.edu.
Coach's Corner with Rob LaFerry continues. Watch us live on WRBI-TV.com or on our Facebook page, and hear us live on the WRBI app and 103.9 FM WRBI.
And welcome back to Coach's Corner. I am Steve Geesting, sitting in tonight for Rob LaFerry. Rob, double duty tonight. He's coaching his 8th grade Bulldogs this evening, and he'll be also coaching them next Monday, so I'll be with you next week for Coach's Corner as well. Our final coach joining us tonight, he is the head coach of the Milan wrestling team. It's Adrian Wilburn. Adrian, Coach, good evening, and welcome to our show.
Thanks for having me.
Let's talk a little bit about Milan wrestling. January 3rd, you went into the battle in the Bear Den. How'd your guys do that day?
We were very competitive that day. We wrestled well. We fell like one match short in one duel, so that's kind of a cross-bracket pool deal. So we finished with a 3rd place in our duel, or our pool, crossed over, and then we won big in the placement match. Really think we could have won it. We're still getting everybody into their spots on the team, with football, of course, running long this year, and getting everybody lined up. We're starting to finally get into the right roles and the right spots on the team. Looking forward to finishing out really strong this year.
You mentioned football and the success of the football team going to the semi-state. How much of a transition is it for those guys to come off the gridiron into the wrestling mat?
Oh, it's quite a bit of a transition. You know, they're pumped up, go, and they had an outstanding season this year. And now we got to come back and get calmed down and maybe put one of them extra plates away for dinner and start getting into positions. And being a small school that we are and so many multi-sport athletes, it's hard to get that lineups and fill in spots. You know, I don't have 30 or 40 kids to choose from and try to get my spots filled, but we really, really try and do a pretty good job, I believe, is filling the 14 weight classes. So we do a pretty good job at that.
You mentioned the battle in the Bear Den. Also, this past weekend, you were at the IHSWC Team State Duels.
Yes.
And how'd you?
We did well. Well, again, you know, 1 or 2 match in our opening bat, but come back and finish 9th in the state. That's pretty good for this team. This team's very young, which being a small school, we kind of stay young. We don't have the, 15 or 20 kids in a class. We'd be lucky to have 5 or 6. And we're starting 4 freshmen that are doing an outstanding job this year.
I had a chance to talk to Andrew Roth, the assistant coach at Lawrenceburg, where I teach at, and talked to him on Friday in anticipation of doing this tonight. I said, "What can you tell me about Milan?" He said, "They're always tough." And I think that's quite a compliment for your squad.
Yeah. A lot of schools come up and they do give us quite a bit of compliments. It's just that the kids do work hard and get them spots and fill them spots, and that's part of the battle is just to fill in the team.
And something at least new to me, I'm not sure how long. I know girls have been wrestling for a while in the IHSA, but they now actually have their own tournament, and you got a girl going to defend a state title this week.
Yes, Kayla, she's probably been wrestling, well, I'd say from 5 or 6 years old. So she's been around it. She wrestled with the boys up until her sophomore year, and then that's when they kind of had to make the decision whether to stay on the boys' side and move over to the girls' side. And that time was one of them times where she had a state champion on the boys' side, kind of around the same weight class. So, or it's not a state champion, but a state placer. So she decided to go with the girls and placed 4th the first year at the state finals, and then she was a state champion last year. And looking forward to trying to defend that title this Friday.
And you said that's right, and that will be in Indianapolis?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure where exactly they're hosting it. I don't believe it's at the field house now.
Okay. And speaking of the boys, you got sectionals coming up here end of the month. 10-team sectional in South Dearborn. Always going to be some tough competition there, I'm assuming.
Always. With us being one of the smaller schools there, it's always tough. But we were in the hunt last year, and we're looking forward to being in the hunt again this year.
Talk about some of your seniors, how much they've meant to the. It always comes down to leadership and getting the guys in. I know wrestling's such a difficult sport, so challenging. Making your weights and making getting in the gym and getting in all that sweat and stuff. How have your senior leaders brought the team along?
Well, they've really stepped up this year. There's, like I said, with the way the team come together towards the end with the football going along and that. I mean, they had to be a little bit more persuasive on getting the team rallied together, but they've kind of come along. I mean, we've got a senior, of course, Matthew Baylor, who's been wrestling since he was 3 or 4 years old, and finally a senior. He did place in the state as a freshman, has been 1 match short of going back to the state finals his sophomore and junior year. Looking forward to trying to make that run again this year. We've got another longtime wrestler, Dylan Ingles, been doing a really good job of helping with the leadership qualities on the team. And then we've got a senior, Caden McKellen, who just really started wrestling 3 years ago, but is really good friends with some of the wrestlers and kind of wrestled 24/7 all year long for 3 years, and he's definitely in contention to go to the state finals again this year.
And if fans want to see more about wrestling, I know like in basketball we can go to the John Harrell side or Max Preps. Where's a good place for people to go if they want to get more information about wrestlers? And
we got a site called Indiana Mat, and we've also used USA Bracketing is what actually put into effect this year, that all high school teams are using that as far as scoring and keeping schedules. So either one of them, you can get on there and follow teams.
We mentioned sectionals coming up here at the end of the month. You have any other big meets coming up before then?
We wrestle the Southwestern Championship this weekend, which is our old conference, but now they've changed it. It's just a big tournament. I think there's 20 teams there. I think if we win it this year, it would be a 3-peat. So we're looking forward to putting in the effort and getting it done this weekend.
Coach Wilburn, thanks so much for joining us tonight here on Coach's Corner.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to take a break. More coming up right after this on 103.9 WRBI and WRBI-TV.
We don't sell you cars, we help you buy them.
Fleetwood Chevrolet at 950 North Michigan Avenue in Greensburg invites you to visit them. They're here to help you with your next new or pre-owned vehicle purchase, as well as all your service and parts needs. They're the home of Greensburg's only drive-in service lane and free oil changes for life with the purchase of a new vehicle. Give them an opportunity to earn your business at Fleetwood Chevrolet.
We don't sell you cars, we help you buy them.
When looking for the highest standard of HVAC service and care, turn to Hurt & Elko, your local Lennox Premier dealer. Hurt & Elko and their Premier dealer status means you're certain to be working with a company who has the highest level of training, professionalism, and customer satisfaction. For a limited time, they're offering up to $1,900 in rebates on a brand new Lennox system or finance with low monthly payments. Call Hurt & Elko today at 812-934-4646 or visit them online at hurt-elko.com to learn more. Conditions apply. See dealer for details.
It's Coach's Corner with Rob LaFerry, delivered by Ison's Family Pizza. Listen on 103.9 FM and the WRBI app, and watch on our Facebook page or at WRBI-TV.com.
And once again, I'm Steve Easting filling in tonight for Rob LaFerry here on Coach's Corner from Ison's Family Pizza in Batesville, Indiana. Taking a look at what we got coming up for you here on 103.9 WRBI this week. We'll be joining the Pacers tonight. Pregame show coming up around 7 o'clock. We'll be joining that. And then tomorrow night, we got basketball action, Franklin County at South Ripley. Rob Moorhead will be on the call out there tomorrow night from Versailles. Wednesday night, we got the Pacers at Toronto. Once again, Pacers, they won their last game. So hopefully the Pacers can get on a winning streak. Thursday night, it's a big rematch. It's an EIAC game, Greensburg at Batesville. Had a chance to cover that game earlier this season where the Bulldogs played at Greensburg, and fans will remember that was a 68-40 win for the Bulldogs that night. Friday night, we got more boys basketball action for you. South Ripley at Oldenburg Academy, and also Pacers action Friday night. We'll join them in progress. They're in New Orleans. And then Saturday, we got boys basketball. Franklin County takes on East Central, followed by Pacers action coming up right after this. Just taking a quick glance to look around EIAC standings for Batesville. We had Coach Aaron Garrett on tonight. They're sitting 1-0 in the conference. Big portion of their conference season still coming up, starting with that Greensburg game on Thursday night. And then looking ahead at their schedule, I think the big one's going to be February 5th. They'll be at South Dearborn. Take it on the Knights. We'll have that one for you. South Dearborn coming off the championship in the Rivertown Classic this past weekend, defeating Lawrenceburg in the championship game. I'd also like to send out congratulations to Lawrenceburg head coach Zane White, coach of the Lady Tigers. I do teach out Lawrenceburg and known Coach White for a long time, and congratulations to him and his Lady Tigers. They won the Rivertown Classic for the 10th consecutive season, a 2-point win over Switzerland County on Friday night. So congratulations to Coach White and the Lady Tigers, and congratulations to Coach Moorhead and the Knights for winning the Rivertown on Saturday night. Also, big Ripley County tournament victory. Congratulations to Coach Mitchell Taylor and his Batesville Bulldogs as Batesville swept the Ripley County tourney this past weekend. Taking a look, we talked with South Decatur head coach Kristen Hicks tonight. They're 3-1 in the Mid-Hoosier Conference, 7-10 overall. They've got a big matchup coming up, taking on Knightstown tomorrow night, and they got a couple conference games left for that before they get into sectional action. The girls sectional comes up the first week of February here in Indiana. Pairing show comes out on January 25th. We're going to be in all the gyms coming up for that girls sectional that week. Coach Kevin Moore, the East Central Lady Trojans tonight, they're sitting 6-0 in the conference. They got a few more games to go before they meet up with Connorsville in their final game of the season on the 29th of this month, and that should be for the conference if they can defeat Connorsville to get the outright EIAC title. That's going to do it for us here tonight on Coach's Corner. Thanks to everybody for listening on the WRBI app and Country 103.9 WRBI. Also, thanks for everybody watching tonight on WRBI-TV. Thanks for Annie Nunley for producing and everything here tonight. And once again, I'll be back with you next Monday night filling in for Rob LaFerry. Thanks, everyone, for watching Coach's Corner, and so long, everybody.
Listen Monday nights at 6 for Coach's Corner with Rob LaFerry, live from Ison's Family Pizza. Come check out the show in person or listen on 103.9 FM or the WRBI app. And now you can also watch the show happen live at WRBI-TV.com or on our Facebook page. From Southeastern Indiana's local sports voice, WRBI Batesville, Greensburg, Brookville, Versailles.